Shana Tova. I'd like to welcome Joe Rosenberg to offer some words of his time as president to begin our service this evening.
Thank you, Rabbi. On behalf of myself and the Board of Trustees, I'd like to welcome you all. Hold on. That better? There we go. Sorry. On behalf of myself and the Board of Trustees, I'd like to welcome you all here this evening to our Kol Nidre service. When I began thinking about what I would say to all of you tonight, my thoughts drifted towards the threats facing our brothers and sisters in Israel, the hardships they're facing both in the region and around the world, and the anti-Semitism that has erupted across the United States, much of which is being carried out by those we long considered our ideological allies. The anger I initially felt after the tragedies of last October quickly faded and turned to sadness. Sadness at the loss of life, sadness at the hatred we now see every day, and more than anything, sadness at what our children must now endure simply by being Jews. At times, the situation in the world can seem overwhelming and hopeless. But the Jewish people are above all else resilient in the face of adversity. Great empires such as the Babylonians, Persians, Romans, and Ottomans have sought to conquer and enslave our people. Those once mighty empires are now no more than a footnote in a chapter in a history book. And we, the Jewish people, have not only endured but prospered. Israel is a nation that has grown tenfold since its reestablishment 75 years ago. Once a collection of kibbutzim in the desert, eking out a meager existence, Israel is among the world leaders in medicine, technology, and Nobel laureates. The once barren desert blooms with life. And now the strength and determination of her people ensure that we are no longer powerless against those who seek to harm and eradicate us. And here, on this night in Toledo, Ohio, we have hundreds of congregants gathered to recite the same prayers, the same blessings that our ancestors once did, as they faced off against nations that showed hatred towards them, nations now known only to history. We can take comfort in the knowledge that as we sit here this evening, millions of our fellow Jews around the world are joined tonight by our faith and heritage. A chain that is over 3,000 years old remains unbroken. And our temple here is a shining example of the Jewish people's resilience. Even as we face new challenges, our congregation continues to attract new members. We continue to offer new ways for our members to engage with each other, the greater Jewish community, and the world at large. We have started classes for adult Hebrew education, a youth group for our children, Shabbat song and study on Saturday mornings, current event discussions with the rabbi, and more. We continue to offer programs such as yoga, mindfulness, and visiting scholars. Next week, we'll have another new program as we try sushi and sake in the sukkah. Say that 3 times fast. And next year, we will celebrate 50 years of Women in the Cantorate with a concert here featuring not only our own cantor Rohr, but many of the previous cantors of this congregation. Together, we will expand and enhance our spiritual fund to ensure these programs continue well into the future, leaving a legacy of our faith to our children. Our spiritual needs are well met by our rabbi and cantor, both of whom can count on strong support from our lay leadership. The temple staff, led very ably by Lynn Nussbaum, can always be counted on, not only to keep our building running, but to provide programming such as the breakfast dinner, which I hope to see you all at tomorrow night. Our finances remain solid. The temple board has always been determined that no matter the financial circumstance of a member, we will never turn somebody away from our congregation. While dues cover only 2/3 of our annual expenses, the generosity of our members and the advanced planning by our staff and board ensures that we can keep our dues at a level that all can afford while still maintaining a balanced budget. And while we are not immune from the struggles facing so many congregations across the country, we are blessed here to be part of such a strong and vibrant community. I want to thank everybody here for their support, their engagement, and ask that you continue to make Temple Shomer Emunim an example of what the Jewish community can be. I want to wish you all a peaceful Shabbat, a meaningful Yom Kippur, and an easy fast. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Those powerful words, so uplifting and hopeful. I'd now like to call up the rest of Joe's family, Veronica and Alyssa and Anne, to light our Shabbat candles, our Yom Tov candles. We'll begin our service on page 9.
Please join me in reading the italicized portion of the print on page 9. The human spirit is the lamp of God,
searching out what lies within us.
Guided by the flame of conscience, on this sacred night we search for truth.
Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love.
We light the flame of healing and forgiveness. On this atonement night, we give thanks for love.
Go ahead and light it. Do you want to do it?
shel Yom HaKippurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'ehyanu ve'kimanu ve'higyonu la'zman hazeh. Amen.
Thank you. We'll turn now to page 14. We'll read responsively. Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul, and Kol Nidre, its sacred portal, a night of deep emotions, a night, as the psalmist wrote, to rejoice with trembling. We rejoice at the sound of Kol Nidre, rhythmic words of release from vows, oaths, and promises to God we fail to keep. We tremble at the melody, music of spiritual amazement. It fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah. We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by community in this hour of shared weakness and humility. We tremble, for tonight we confess our flaws, admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding. To great endeavors because we feel so deeply and think so nobly. We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability. Our promises surpass our might. We rejoice in the freedom that Kol Nidre's true gift, the freedom to begin a new year without fear of failure, to aspire to be God's image in the world. We tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life. We rejoice with trembling and enter Kol Nidre. This time, I would like to call up our past presidents who will be holding our Torahs after we open the Ark for Kol Nidre. David Berland, Dr. Ernest Brookfield, Dr. Doug Fetterman, Nate Geisler, Denise Horowitz, Dr. Janine Hutner, Frank Jacobs, Marilyn Jacobs, Mark Jacobs, Gail Miro, Barry Nistel, Scott Schwab, and Dr. Steve Schall. Turn now to page 16 as they are on their way up. Are you going to hand out the... Please rise. Give us the strength to keep our promises, the sacred vows of partners in marriage, the promises of love and care between parents and children, the promises of duty between citizens and country, the oaths of doctors, the sacred trust of teachers. Give us the strength to keep our promises to our friends and colleagues, to those who live with us and depend on us, to those who work for us and those for whom we work, for those who pray with us and those for whom we pray, to those we love and those we serve. Give us the courage to keep our promises to ourselves, to one another, and to future generations. 20. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error.
סלח נא לעוון העם הזה כגודל חסדך, וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה, ושם נאמר, ויאמר
We'll remain standing. Turn to page 22. Thank you. Thank you. Page 26. Love beyond all space and time. Your love enfolds your people Yisrael. You receive it in your teachings, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, for you are blessed, the one who loves your people, Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Ve'ahavta is on page 30.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 38. Truth and faith, these are fundamental to our existence. God alone is their source, and we are Israel, a people of God. Our sovereign saves us from tyranny, redeems us from its violence through countless wonders, from its brutality through great feats beyond measure. We are Israel, a people of God, the giver of life who would not let our feet give way, the maker of miracles for us against Pharaoh, of signs and portents in the land of Egypt, the one who brought our people Israel from its midst to enduring freedom. Witnesses, the next page, witnesses to this heroic might, the people thanked and praised God by name, freely accepting the reign of heaven. Then Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang to you this song of utter joy.
כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני. ברוך שמו. גאל ישראל.
Now look to the song sheet that you should have received when you came in, the words to Let There Be Love, our prayer for Hashkivenu.
Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkiveinu, Leshalom. Hashkiveinu, love and understand Eloheinu. Hashkiveinu, peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkiveinu, Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Eloheinu, Leshalom. Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
We are lucky this year that Yom Kippur falls on Shabbat. It just means a few extra lines, just a few, really, I'm not joking. And we get to sing Vishamru together. The words are on page 44.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. Lasot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam. Ki sheshet yomim, ki sheshet yomim, asar Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat mayin afash.
Top of page 45.
Ki vayom hazeh yichaber aleichem
this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai.
Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. Amen. Be'amad yivarach yirutei, ve'yamlich malchutei, b'chayeichon u'b'yomeichon, u'b'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'b'zman kariv, v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam, u'lam mi'amaya yiparach, yiparach v'yishabach, v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha b'richu leila u'leila, mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alama, ve'yimeru. Amen.
Please rise for the Amidah beginning on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tilatecha, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hagol, V'zocher Chasei Avot v'Imachot, U'mevii Geula livnei bneihem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Zochreinu lechaim, Zochreinu lechaim, Melech hafetz b'chaim, Bechotveinu b'sefer, b'sefer ha'chaim, lemancha Elohim ha'im. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. Amen. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia, ונאמנתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני
ברוך שמו
מחיי הכל.
Page 53. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha sela. You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Please be seated. Turn now to page 61. Today, the Jewish mission is not diminished. In a world that still cries out for healing, where suffering and narrowness are endemic, to be chosen means to have a special calling, to teach that all human beings are children of God, created in God's image, and must be treated as sacred. That Judaism is a small nation is no bar to this task. Many of the nations that have changed the world have also been small. The Athens of Socrates and Plato, the England of Queen Elizabeth and Shakespeare, the America of Washington and Jefferson. No nation, great or small, has touched humanity more deeply than the tiny nation of Isaiah and Jeremiah. Chosenness is not a privilege to boast of, but a task to be undertaken. It is to keep constantly in mind the words of the prophet Micah. It has been told you, O mortal, what is good, and what the Eternal requires of you. Only this, to do justly and love mercy and walk humbly with your God. Page 66. Our God and God of our forebears, pardon our failures on this Shabbat and this Day of Atonement. Erase our misdeeds, see beyond our defiance. For Isaiah said in your name, it is I alone, who wipe away your defiant acts. This is my essence. I shall pay no heed to your errors. And the prophet said, as a cloud fades away, as mist dissolves into air, so your wrongs and mistakes shall be gone. I will wipe them away. Come back to me, that I may redeem you. As you said to Moses, for on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai. Page 71. We'll read responsively. On this night of atonement, grant us, God, a sense of your presence as we call upon your name. Speak your hopeful message to each yearning heart and answer the worthy petitions of each searching soul. Purify and strengthen our noble strivings and cleanse us of all our unworthy desires.
Join us together in fellowship and in love. and grant us the joy which comes from enriching each other's lives.
Help us to be loyal to the heritage we share. Draw us near to Torah in wisdom and in faith.
Strengthen our devotion to our people everywhere. Keep alive our faith in righteousness and truth.
Bless us with hopes to uplift our daily lives, and keep steadfast our courage and our resolve at all times.
On this night of atonement, help us, God, to be worthy of your presence as we call upon your name.
Page 74. God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring of our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night, we call you goodness, your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limit. We call you hope, now and for all time. And for all these gifts, God of majesty, may your name come to be blessed and praised, our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. Inscribe your covenant partners for a life of goodness, and may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'el lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise.
Shalom, Rav Yisrael, Amacha Tasim Sefer Chaim Beracha L'chaim tovim u'shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, oseh hashalom.
With peace on our minds, we now turn our thoughts to our prayer for healing. Page 273, we have the words to the Mishaberach. In our community, on this sacred, holy time, we are thinking of and praying for the healing of Charlie Bauer, Brian Bucky, Dr. Mark Fine, Michael Gordon, Joel Levitan, Larry Markwood, and Sarah Taub. If there are others that we'd like to name, I would encourage you to do so. Join together in the Mishaberach.
May the source of strength, who bless
We have healing in our minds. We take the next few moments for our own personal prayer. Like many of you, I assume, I enjoyed watching the Olympics this summer. One athlete, Israel Madaye from the African country of Chad, was the first and only archer to qualify to compete in Paris. Out of 64 athletes vying for gold and silver and bronze, he came in last place. In an interview with him after his loss, he said, "I always said that even if I scored 0 points, I would be pleased with my achievements because I worked very hard to get here." He attempted something that so few people in the world do, but he failed. He failed the Olympic Games, but he succeeded by another measure. I recently learned about some other competitive archers. In a book called The Rise, Creativity, the Gift of Failure, and the Search for Mastery, author and academic Sarah Lewis describes a practice session of the women's archery team at Columbia University. She begins, "The athletes stepped out of the van on a cold spring afternoon with a relaxed focus. After several hours on the field with the women," Lewis observes, "archery requires constant reinvention. It is one of the sports that gives instantaneous, precise feedback. Archers constantly deal with the near win, not quite hitting the mark, but seconds later proving that they can. We can learn a great deal from these athletes. On Yom Kippur, we pray the Vidui. O God, God of our mothers and fathers, grant that our prayers may reach you. We confess, Chatanu, Avinu, Pashanu, we have sinned. These are 3 Hebrew words about our failings. The first, Pasha or Pashamnu, means rebellion. The second, Avon or Avinu, as we hear it, whose roots mean to be twisted or crooked. And finally, the one that we see the most in our liturgy is chet, or chatanu, which comes from the root to miss. Rabbi Louis Jacobs writes in a note in our new Machzor, chet is a word used, for example, of an archer whose arrows fail to hit the target. It denotes the failure to follow the good path, the lack of character or staying power that prevents a person from arriving to a set goal. Chet is considered less serious and is more common than the other two, avon v'fesha. And perhaps it provides the greatest opportunity to improve in the new year. In our worship today, we repeat al chet shechatanu lefanecha, which means for the sins we have committed against you, for the times we have missed the mark, for the times that we have failed. Thus, Yom Kippur and the Yamim Noraim are all about failure. We tap our hearts or beat our chests through the alphabet of woe, our alphabet of failures in the prayer Ashamnu. We realize that we haven't done all as well in the past year as we could have. We have this holiday to consider how we can correct our actions. After we admit our wrongdoings to ourselves, we are expected to admit them to family and friends, asking for their forgiveness. Rabbi Jacob adds in his note, with practice and attention, we can improve our aim and do better in the future. Admitting our failures is not only for us on Yom Kippur. Writer and actor David Duchovny, known for his appearance in the 90s show The X-Files, hosts a podcast called Fail Better. Each week, he interviews actors and comedians who are incredibly successful people, among them Ben Stiller, Seth Meyers, Kumail Nanjiani, Lisa Loeb, Bette Midler, and Sarah Silverman. They share the biggest challenges and failures in their personal lives and careers. They are or have been at the apex of stardom in their arena, and yet they get on a podcast and bear their biggest insecurities publicly. I was struck by the podcast interview with Seth Meyers. He is now a famous late-night host, but Meyers admits that he had many subpar years as writer and performer on Saturday Night Live before his current success. He explains that he had to examine his own behavior and recognize that he was missing the mark. He was trying to mimic other people. Ultimately, he realized that humility would take him farther, and it all started when he admitted his failures. This is completely countercultural, sharing how not perfect you are. For many of us, myself included, the thought of admitting our failures is unnerving and disconcerting. Even thinking about writing this sermon and all of the sermons that I have to write during the High Holy Days brings to the forefront how not perfect I am. We try so hard in our lives to be the best. When that doesn't happen, we may fear that we are letting others down. We may see our behavior as a character flaw or another misstep in life. Like the archer or the famous actors, missing the target and failing are possible for all of us. The question on this Yom Kippur is how and why should we admit our failures? What can we learn from them? And what does it mean about us? First, we can learn it from the story of Moses. Despite being our greatest prophet and leader, in a way, Moses was a failure. He failed to reach the promised land after he spent 40 years wandering to arrive there. In the story in Numbers, Moses was instructed by God to hit a rock so that water could flow from it to quench the Israelites' thirst. He hit the rock, and water came out, just as God had predicted. The second time this happened, though, God commanded Moses only to speak to the rock. This time, Moses was angry because the Israelites were being defiant and needy. Instead of speaking to the rock, he hit the rock twice with his rod. The water came forth. He failed God's simple command. Because of this one action, Moses was prevented from crossing the finish line into the promised land with his flock. Instead, he died and was buried overlooking what would become Israel. Had he not acted out of rage, the outcome may have been different. Moses definitely missed the mark. As a parent of young children, I know that I have missed the mark too, in similar situations. Showing frustration when the moment called for calm, raising my voice instead of speaking, responding too quickly in the moment instead of thinking about the long-term consequences of an action. I imagine we have all missed the mark in different ways, under different circumstances. We can reflect about our own lives, potentially with ideas like this. I wish I held my tongue rather than offering advice. I didn't treat my brother fairly when we were discussing care for our elderly parents. I cheated on a big test because I was afraid of getting a poor grade. I let a relationship slip out of my life that I wish I put more energy into. In these actions, a positive intention may have been there, like the archer who takes aim but misses anyway. Our action fell short. We failed by a certain measure. So how are we, in David Duchovny's language, going to fail better? First, by admitting that we got something wrong, our words or our actions missed the mark. Yom Kippur offers us lists of ways we tried but failed. We repeat the vidui, our confessions, 4 times during this Day of Atonement. Our tradition knows it's not easy to admit that we've done wrong, so we have several chances during these 25 hours to do so. Yom Kippur provides the language to admit our failures as a community. In tomorrow afternoon's prayer service, we have another opportunity to admit our faults. Rather than beating our chests, repeating the words, Al Chet Shechatanu Lefanecha, we are offered 3 ways to address our failures of integrity, our failures of justice, and our failures of love. Whether during our service or privately, I invite you to reflect on these meaningful words in our prayer book. I would imagine very few of us in this room take ourselves to be comedians or actors, but we can use these days to humble ourselves and try again. Try again to keep calm in tough situations. Try to listen when someone has something to say that you might not like. Try to accept that we cannot change other people. And rather than flinging arrows at them, check in with yourself. We can try to do better another time and another time after that. We may not hit the bullseye right away, but the more aware we are of our failings, the closer we can get. Though we assume that failure is the ultimate, failure, we can actually fail better. Learning from our failures, we can become truer versions of ourselves, allowing our light to shine out in the world. So in 5785, I hope that we all fail. And when we do, we fail better than before. Gmar Hatima Tova.
This next song, a contemporary interpretation of our penitential prayers, is on your song sheet. let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven, though we all have caused pain in our words to one another. Let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Though we all have regret for the words that we have spoken, let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Let now be the time to repair what has been broken. Let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. For the gates are always open. For the gates are always open. For the gates are always open. Though we never can change all the times we've been mistaken, let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Let us try to rebuild all the trust we have forsaken. Let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Selah, lanu, lanu, kaper, lanu. Selah, lanu, lanu, kaper, lanu.
Page 82.
Eloheinu, Elohe Avotenu v'Imotenu, Tavo, Tavo lefanecha, tefilateinu. Ve'al titalam mitchinateinu. Anachnu azifanim ukashei oref lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'Imotenu tzadikim anachnu ve'lo chatanu
Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be baseless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Ay, 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 Hashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi. Ay, 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 Evinu, Behirshanu, Zadnu, Chamasnu, Tafalnu Shakir. Ay, 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 Ya'atznu Ra, Kizavnu, Latznu, Maradnu, Niatznu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Oref. Ay, 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 Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu, ay, 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 ay.
Please be seated. Page 84. Our turning away from your mitzvot and laws of goodness is a hollow pursuit. You are just concerning all that happens in our lives. Your way is the way of truth, while ours leads to error. What can we say to you whose existence is beyond time and space? What words of ours can reach your realm beyond the clouds, beyond heaven itself? Every hidden mystery, every revelation, surely you know them all. Page 86.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזדון ובשגגה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בדיבור פה.
The ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בטיפשות פה.
The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכחש ובכזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ברכילות.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים.
The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בווידוי פה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בהונאת רע.
The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחוזק יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במשא ובמתן.
The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, the harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty and business.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו. ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגלוי ובסתר, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקת עול.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, the harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי עריות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במאכל ובמשתה.
The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, the harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנשך ובמרבית.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנטיית גרון.
The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and the harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בטומאת שפתיים.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and the harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלשון הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין.
The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו. ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, and lead us to atonement. We'll take the next few moments for our own silent confession. You may use the words of your heart or between page 91 through 98.
Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chos v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו תשליכנו לפניך ברוח קודשך
Page 104. Our God and God of our fathers, God of our mothers, do not abandon us, leave us in shame. Do not dissolve the covenant you made with us. Rather, draw us near to your teaching. Show us your ways and teach us how to live. Let us be open to your love, ready to revere your very being. Cut away the hardness of our hearts so that we may turn to you with all our heart's devotion, truly repentant. For the sake of your great name, pardon our failures, forgive our moral weakness, as in the holy words of your psalmist, Adonai, as befits your name, forgive my sin, no matter how great. Page 106.
Ki anu amecha, anu vanecha, anu
Turn now to page 114. Please rise for Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Avinu
We'll turn now to the words, "Let Us Adore," on your song sheet.
Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spread out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else, there is none else.
Page 119. May the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when lies and bigotry shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. So may all, created in your image, become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your dominion be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Page 121. This holy night concludes with memory. Our last thoughts always are of those we have lost. We miss them especially tonight, yearning for their presence at our side. The service we have shared once was theirs. They spoke and sang the ancient words. They prayed, repented, and yearned for better lives as we have done. Flawed in their deeds, imperfect in their faith, they still drew strength from their tradition as we seek fortitude in ours. What was good and beautiful in their lives once gave us joy and now inspires us to reach higher. The knowledge that they loved us deeply brings comfort to our hearts. So we light candles of remembrance and gratitude, and we speak this timeless truth. Zichronam livracha. May their memory be a blessing now and forever. We pray that their goodness will live on in our lives, planting seeds of kindness and hope for generations to come. This week in our community, we are remembering two who have been laid to rest in the most recent 30 days, Arthur Cheloff and Michael Mickey Lieber. We also remember Ronald Barmash, Marion Barron, Amelia Britz, Donald Chabin, Jay Cohn, William Copeland, Shirley Del Nostro, Blanche Edelman, Gertrude Feldstein, Harvey Fishbein, Jerome N. Friedlander, Marcia Gottfried, Betty Greenberg, Thelma M. Harper, Byron Lee Harris, James Jacoby, Robin Kennedy, Sylvia Klinger, Helen Stricker-Levitt, Marjorie Lieber, Anna Lowenthal, Lonnie Lee Meredith, Jason Paul Miner, Harry Pollack, Henry H. Schechter, Samuel Shinbach, Sylvia Solomon, Dan Starsky, Beverly Steinman, Florence Striff, Sylvia Thal, Eva M. Tobias, and Ida S. Ziegler. Are there any other names we'd like to mention this evening? The words to the Mourner's Kaddish are on page 122. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'elma tivrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala l'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemed kudusha rechu, le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Please be seated. Our closing song for this evening is Hashivenu, also on your song sheets.
We return, we return, we return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, we return, we return, return again and again to love.
Shana Tova Tikatevu V'Techamenu. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Please remember to leave your books on your seat if it is not yours, and that the food drive is going on throughout tomorrow. Family service begins at 9 a.m. and the service here begins at 10:30. Shana Tova.